2004, you learn you have a brain tumor. Tell about why you were rehearsing how to tell your wife and what you were planning on saying.
Oh man, it was just, I've got a 14-month-old son, brand new marriage, it was 9 months and 2 days after we got married that we're parents. It was like, whoa. I mean, so we're doing everything on an accelerated thing, and I stopped skating, and all these changes in our lives. And I find out the day they arrive that I have a brain tumor, and so I go directly from the appointment to the hotel to meet my family. And Tracy goes, "What's going on?" I go, "I'll tell you upstairs." She goes, "Okay." So we get up to the room, and we put Aiden on the floor, and he takes the phone off, and he's like banging the cradle on, I don't know how telephones work in hotels if kids are going to be doing that all the time, but so he's just doing what all little kids do, and I looked at Tracy, and I didn't know how to tell her, but to tell her. I go, "I have a brain tumor." And she, without even skipping a beat, just grabbed both my hands and started to pray. And I realized in that moment that I knew where I was taking everything from then on. It was just, everything was leading up to that moment. My whole faith journey was leading up to that moment. And it just ignited everything. And from then on, it is what it is and whatever it takes. And we were just prayerful. And the story that came out of that was extraordinary, because they had to, after a week of praying, they said, "We have to go in. We're going to stick a needle through your brain. We found a safe corridor." Well, yeah, I'm not using any of it. No, you could lose speech, you could lose memory, you could have a stroke, you could have muscle, everything. I was like, they have to tell you all the terrible things that can happen. So I woke up from the biopsy.
And you're joking a little bit about it now, but I mean, that night before the biopsy was
pretty
tough
scary.
for you.
Yeah, we were up most of the night, just sort of talking about, how life could change, and just being together, and just life, how are we what are we gonna do, and how are we gonna, it's hard to remember back then, because, I tend to hang on to the really good stuff, but I know that we were up late, and I had the first surgery, which is really good. You want to have the first surgery in the morning, and my doctor seemed to be okay with it, but he said it's going to really test me, this particular surgery. So, Tracy and I just prayed, and we just knew that whatever was going to happen was going to happen. So I wake up at 10:20. I knew where I was, who I was, why I was there, and I went, test. Okay, I can speak. I guess the operation was successful. And then the doctor came in smiling, and then Tracy came in smiling, and then our dear friend Maria Miller came in smiling, and they go, "We know what it is." And I go, "What is it?" And they go, "It's a craniopharyngioma." And I go, "Okay, you might as well have told me it's a blah, blah, blah," because I have no idea what that is. Right. And they go, no, we know what we're going to do now. And it's like, okay, great. So they looked up craniopharyngioma. They gave us some information on it. And it was, my wife goes, "Oh, listen to this. Craniopharyngiomas are usually detected early in a child's life due to a lack of growth and development." Bingo. It's like, man, they never diagnosed what I had as a kid. It must have been this, because you're born with craniopharyngiomas. You're just born with them. And it's just something your pituitary does. It builds these tumor cells, and they grow, and they create all kinds of mischief. And so, mystery solved. I always joke around that if you live long enough, all questions will be answered. And that was one of those. It was like, wow, this must have been what I had when I was little and I didn't grow all those years. I must have just hit my head funny or something, and it stopped the tumor from growing.
That was 2004, 2010, second brain tumor.
Yeah.
How did you go about deciding how to treat it?
I always try to get, it's not about second opinions, it's about seventh opinions, and I had a great team at the Cleveland Clinic, and they, there's a foremost authority who's in Boston, and, this time it presented itself really clean. The first time it was kind of wrapped around stuff, so I did radiation. The second time it looked like a pencil eraser almost. It was kind of like that shape. And so it's presenting itself beautifully to be removed surgically. And so Dr. Laws in Boston pretty much invented the surgery. And so I went to him, figuring if he's done 10,000 of these, pretty good deal. And so I decided to have it surgically removed. And they got it all out. And they said they even were able to kind of scrape, where it was attached, kind of try to take all the cells they thought at the time. And that year, I'd spent the entire year working up, getting back in shape to skate. 51, I was able to, kind of get back to backflip and everything, which was kind of fun and exciting. But man, going through that surgery and then the repair from the complication, which can happen, turned into an aneurysm, and then I went to the Cleveland Clinic and they were able to obliterate the aneurysm. And it was a really challenging summer. It was like, all in all, between my shoulder surgery I had in April and then the brain stuff starting in June, I had 10 surgeries that year.
What's your reaction when you find out you have a third brain tumor?
Well, I mean, it's not something I really want to deal with, I mean, honestly, but I mean that as much as the pattern has emerged that it's going to be here every 6 years, the pattern has emerged that if I just continue to do what I've been doing, something magnificent's on the other side. So just deal with it. I can't wish it away, I can pray it away, but I can't just say, well, I'm just going to ignore this thing. So I'm keeping an eye on it. The really cool thing was when they found it in October, end of August, they measured it, and it's all right there, and then they shot it again in November to track its growth, and the 2 MRIs were identical. So I'm really...
which is great.
Which is phenomenal, which buys me time to gather more opinions.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is you don't intend to treat it if it does not grow.
Why bother? I was born with it, and for 36 years it didn't do anything. So if it doesn't do anything for another 36 years, I'll be 94 years old.